It was a quiet Sunday morning in Boston. The sky was pale gray, and soft rain tapped against the window of a small apartment on Maple Street. Inside, Emma Collins, a 33-year-old photographer, was cleaning her late mother's things. She had been avoiding this for months. Every drawer she opened carried a memory, and every picture she touched felt like reopening an old wound. Her mother had passed away the previous winter, and Emma had been trying to move on. But something in her heart still felt unfinished, like a story that never got its ending. At the bottom of an old wooden box, covered in dust and wrapped in a piece of cloth, she found a black flip phone. It looked ancient, scratched, and heavy. Emma picked it up and stared at it for a long moment. The phone belonged to her father, Daniel Collins, who had gone missing 20 years ago. She had been only 13 when he disappeared. One evening, he left home after receiving a phone call and never returned. The police searched for months, but they found nothing. No car. No body. No clues. Just a missing man and a broken family. Emma's mother used to sit by the window every night, whispering, "He'll come back, Emma. He has to." But he never did. Now, holding that old phone felt like holding a piece of the past, a piece she didn't know was still here. She plugged it into the charger, not sure if it would even work. The screen stayed black for a few minutes, then flickered weakly to life. A blue light blinked. One message appeared on the screen. One unheard voice message. Emma froze. Her hands trembled slightly. A voice message. After all these years? The date below the message read, May 7, 2005. That was the exact day her father disappeared. She sat down, her heartbeat quickening. "It can't be," she whispered. She pressed play. For a few seconds, there was silence, just static. Then, suddenly, her father's voice came through. "Emma, it's Dad. Listen, The message crackled, cutting in and out. "I think someone's following me. If anything happens." Then, the recording stopped mid-sentence. Another voice spoke. Deep. Cold. Unfamiliar. "You shouldn't have come here, Daniel. You know what happens next." A loud thud echoed, then silence. The phone beeped, and the screen went dark again. Emma sat frozen, unable to breathe. The room felt colder, heavier. She replayed the message, hoping she had misheard it. But the voice was real. It was her father's and someone else's. Her mind raced. Who was that man? What did he mean by "you know what happens next"? And why had this message never been found before? She realized something else: the police had never checked her father's phone. It had disappeared with him. But how did it end up in her mother's things? She searched the box again. At the bottom, she found an old photo: her father standing beside a lake, smiling. On the back, in faded handwriting, were 3 words. "Find the truth." Emma felt a chill run down her spine. The sound of the rain outside grew louder. She looked at the phone again. The battery icon flashed red, then died completely. She didn't know what to think, only that she couldn't ignore this. After 20 years, maybe this was finally the clue she had been waiting for. That night, Emma couldn't sleep. She kept replaying the message in her mind. Her father's voice. The fear in it. The sudden interruption. The stranger's threat. It didn't sound random, it sounded like a warning. The next morning, she went online and searched for information about that date, May 7, 2005. She found an old news article. Engineer Daniel Collins missing, car found near Lakeview. The article mentioned that Daniel had left home after a private phone call. Police believed it was work-related. They found his car near a lake 30 miles away, but no trace of him. Emma noticed something else. The article quoted a detective named Mark Reeves, who led the investigation. She wrote down his name. Maybe he remembered something. She decided to visit him. Before leaving, she looked once more at the old phone. The message was still there, but she couldn't listen again until it was charged. She wrapped it carefully in a cloth and placed it in her bag. As she locked the door, she whispered, "Dad, if you left this for me, I'm going to find out why." The drive to the detective's house was long and quiet. Trees lined the road, their branches bending in the wind. Every mile felt like traveling deeper into her own past. When she reached the small cottage where Mark Reeves lived, she hesitated before knocking. The door opened slowly, revealing an older man with tired eyes. "Detective Reeves?" she asked. He looked surprised. "Yes. Do I know you?" "I'm Emma Collins," she said softly. "My father was Daniel Collins. You worked on his case." For a moment, silence filled the air. Then, recognition dawned on his face. "Daniel Collins, the engineer who vanished near Lakeview." "Yes, I remember. That was a long time ago." "I found something," she said. "Something you need to hear." She handed him the phone. When he heard the voice message, his expression changed completely. His hand tightened around the device. His eyes widened. After a long pause, he looked at her and said, "I've heard that voice before." Emma frowned. "The second one?" "The man." He nodded slowly. "Yes. But if it's really who I think it is, you're in danger." Emma's heart skipped a beat. Danger? After all these years? She didn't know it yet, but the voice message she had found was not just a clue. It was a warning from the past. And it was about to pull her into a secret that had been buried for 20 long years. The sound of the rain outside faded as Emma stood in the living room of Detective Mark Reeves. The old man set the phone carefully on the table. His eyes were fixed on the floor, his face pale. "You said you've heard that voice before?" Emma asked softly. "Whose voice is it?" Reeves sighed deeply. "I'm not sure yet. But it sounds familiar. Very familiar." He walked to a shelf full of old files and pulled out a dusty brown folder labeled Collins case. The papers were yellow, the ink faded with time. "Your father's case never left me," Reeves said quietly. "I always felt there was more to it. But we didn't have enough proof back then." He opened the file. The first photo inside was of Daniel Collins, standing beside a silver car, smiling, confident, unaware of the fate waiting for him. "Your father was a good man," Reeves said. "Smart, careful, but he was working on something dangerous." Emma frowned. "Dangerous?" "My father was an engineer. He worked for a construction company." Reeves shook his head slowly. "Not just any company. It was called Easton Industries. Back then, they had secret government contracts, energy projects, environmental studies, chemical storage. Your father was assigned to one of those projects." Emma's mind was spinning. "What kind of project?" Reeves looked uneasy. He never told his co-workers much. But a few days before he vanished, he tried to contact a journalist. He said he had documents that could destroy powerful people. Then, he disappeared. Emma's heart sank. So her father hadn't just walked away, he had been silenced. She took a deep breath. "Detective, this message, it's proof that something happened. Can't we take it to the police now?" Reeves smiled sadly. "You could, but it won't be easy. Most people involved in this case are gone or retired. And if the voice on that message belongs to who I think it does, you'll be going up against someone very powerful." Emma looked down at the phone again. The small device suddenly felt heavy, like it carried a weight far bigger than she could handle. "Still," she said firmly, "I need to know the truth. No matter what it costs." Reeves studied her face. There was something in her eyes, the same determination he remembered from her father. He nodded. All right. Then let's start from the beginning. They spent the next few hours going through the old reports, police notes, photographs, witness statements. Most of it was vague and incomplete. The only solid clue was Daniel's last known location, Lakeview, 30 miles from Boston. His car had been found parked near the water. The driver's door was open, and his phone and keys were missing. Reeves had always suspected that the scene was staged. The car looked too clean, he said. Like someone wanted it to be found. According to the report, a fisherman had seen a black van near the lake that night, but no one ever found the van or the driver. Emma listened carefully, taking notes in a small journal. So he left after a phone call, she said slowly. And that same night, he recorded this message. He must have realized someone was following him. Reeves nodded. Exactly. The problem is we never found any phone records. It was like his call log was erased. Emma thought for a moment. What about his office? His files? Maybe he left something behind. Reeves smiled faintly. You think like your father. He always hid things in plain sight. The next day, they drove to Easton Industries, which was now an empty building. The company had closed down years ago after a series of lawsuits. The sign outside was broken, and the parking lot was covered with weeds. Inside, dust floated in the air. The smell of rust and old paper filled the halls. Emma's flashlight swept across the room. She could almost imagine her father here working late, sketching blueprints, drinking coffee from a paper cup. They found his old office on the second floor. The desk was still there, covered with folders and dust. Most drawers were empty. But when Emma opened the bottom drawer, she noticed a small false panel inside. She pressed it gently, it popped open. Inside was a small USB drive wrapped in plastic. A label was taped on it. Project Haven. Reeves raised an eyebrow. Looks like you were right. Emma's hands trembled as she held the flash drive. Project Haven, she whispered. What does that mean? Reeves took a deep breath. I don't know. But your father must have thought it was important enough to hide. They left the building quickly, not noticing the faint sound of a camera click outside. Someone was watching. That evening, back at her apartment, Emma plugged the USB into her laptop. Hundreds of documents appeared on the screen, reports, maps, and emails. She opened one of the files. Her father had written. Evidence of illegal dumping. Chemicals in small town water supplies. Must report soon. Not safe. Emma covered her mouth, shocked. Her father had discovered a crime, a big one. Reeves read over her shoulder. This is what he was trying to expose. They were dumping toxic waste and covering it up. Another email caught Emma's eye. It was addressed to her father from an unknown sender. The subject line read, "You're in danger." The message said, "Stop digging, Daniel. You know who you're dealing with. You know what happens next." Emma's heart stopped. Those were the exact words from the voice message. Reeves looked at her, his face tight with worry. That means the man in the recording, he's the same one who sent this warning. Emma whispered. And maybe, the one who made my father disappear. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The truth was too heavy, too dark. Finally, Reeves said quietly. We need to find out who sent this email. That's our next step. Emma nodded slowly. She knew the road ahead would be dangerous, but she also knew she couldn't stop now. Because somewhere in all this, her father's voice was still calling out to her. Asking her to finish what he started. The next few days passed in a blur. Emma couldn't stop thinking about the documents she had found. Every line of her father's notes revealed a story of corruption, danger, and betrayal. Project Haven. That name kept echoing in her mind. It sounded peaceful, almost beautiful, but the truth behind it was anything but that. Her father had written about toxic waste dumping in small towns across Massachusetts. The company, Easton Industries, had secretly been burying chemical barrels near water sources to save money. Thousands of families might have been drinking poisoned water and no one ever knew. Daniel Collins had found proof. But before he could expose it, he vanished. That evening, Emma and Detective Reeves sat together in his office, the laptop open between them. Rain hit the window softly, and the glow from the screen lit their faces. Reeves scrolled through the emails. These were sent from multiple addresses, he said. Some are fake, but a few are real corporate accounts. See this one? r.hale@eastongroup.com. That might be important. Emma leaned closer. R. Hale, who is that? Reeves frowned. That name rings a bell. Let me check something. He opened an old folder on his desk, full of newspaper clippings. After flipping through several pages, he found a photo of a tall man in a black suit, shaking hands with government officials. The caption read, Richard Hale, CEO of Easton Industries. Reeves looked up. That's him. The man at the top. The one your father worked for. Emma stared at the photo. Richard Hale looked powerful, confident, the kind of man who could make problems disappear. If my father was trying to expose him, she said slowly, then maybe he's the one who silenced him. Reeves nodded grimly. It's possible. But we need proof. The next day, Emma met her friend Ryan Miller, a computer technician who helped small businesses recover data. She trusted him. Ryan was surprised when she told him the story, but he agreed to help. I can trace those emails, he said. Maybe we'll find where they were sent from. He worked on her laptop for hours, typing fast, checking servers, tracing hidden links. Finally, he looked up, eyes wide. Emma, this is bad. Really bad. What did you find? She asked nervously. Those emails came from a restricted government server. Someone powerful helped send them. And there's something else. He showed her a map on the screen. The IP address used to send the last email, the warning one, was located right near Lakeview. The same area where your father's car was found. Emma's stomach turned. That couldn't be a coincidence. Reeves looked serious. That means someone lured him there. He probably met the person from that message, and never came back. The room went silent. Then Ryan said quietly, there's one more thing. One of the files on this USB is locked. It needs a password. Emma frowned. A password? Ryan nodded. Yeah. It's like he encrypted the most important document. She thought for a moment. Her father always used personal memories as passwords. Try Emma 2005, she suggested. Ryan typed it. Access denied. Try Maple Street, that's where we lived. Still denied. He sighed. It could be anything. Emma looked at the photo from the box her father by the lake, with the words "Find the Truth" written on the back. Try Lakeview. Ryan entered the word. The screen blinked and the file opened. Inside was a single document titled The Hale Report. Emma leaned forward, her eyes wide as she read. It detailed secret payments made by Easton Industries to government officials, including names, dates, and locations. Her father had copied everything. This could destroy him, Emma whispered. Reeves nodded. This is the proof we needed. Just then, Ryan's computer screen flickered. A red alert popped up, unauthorized access detected. What's happening? Emma asked. Ryan's fingers flew across the keyboard. Someone's trying to hack into the system. They're deleting files remotely. Within seconds, the document disappeared. The folder turned blank. No, no, no. Ryan shouted. It's gone. Someone's watching us. Emma's heart pounded. Did you save a copy? Ryan nodded quickly. I made a backup on an external drive. But we need to move. Now. Reeves grabbed the drive and stuffed it in his coat pocket. We'll talk somewhere safe. They hurried out of the apartment, rain soaking their clothes. As they reached the car, Emma glanced back at the building. A black SUV was parked across the street. Its engine was running, headlights dim. A shadow moved inside. Watching them. Get in the car, Reeves said sharply. They drove fast through the wet streets. None of them spoke. The only sound was the wipers against the windshield and the storm outside. After a few miles, they stopped at a small diner on the edge of town. Inside, it was warm and quiet, the smell of coffee filling the air. Ryan opened his bag and took out the backup drive. We still have the report. But whoever tried to erase it knows we saw it. Reeves looked worried. That means we've got their attention now. And that's not good. Emma took a deep breath. I don't care. I'm not stopping. My father risked his life for the truth. I'm not going to let it die again. Reeves nodded slowly. Then we need to find Richard Hale and make him talk. That night, as Emma drove home, she couldn't shake the feeling that someone was following her. Every car behind her looked suspicious. Every street light seemed too bright. When she parked outside her apartment, she noticed her front door was slightly open. Her chest tightened. She stepped inside carefully. The room was dark, quiet, but her things were scattered on the floor. Someone had broken in. The old phone, her father's phone, was gone. And on the table, in its place, was a small note. It said only 5 words. Stop digging, or you'll regret it. Emma's hands shook as she read it. She looked out the window, her reflection staring back at her, scared, but stronger than before. She whispered to herself. You tried to silence him. But I'm still here. And in that moment, she knew the fight for truth had only just begun. Emma didn't sleep that night. She sat on her couch, staring at the note left in her apartment. Stop digging, or you'll regret it. The words burned in her mind. Whoever left that note knew everything. They had broken into her home, taken her father's phone, and still wanted to scare her into silence. But fear wasn't enough to stop her anymore. If anything, it made her stronger. By morning, she had made her decision. She was going to find Richard Hale. She met Detective Reeves and Ryan at a small cafe. The air smelled of coffee and rain, but no one touched their cups. They took the phone, Emma said quietly. I know, Reeves replied. Whoever did that knows we're close. Ryan frowned. They're probably watching us right now. You can't go after Hale yourself. Emma looked up. Her voice was calm but firm. If I don't, we'll never get justice for my father. Reeves studied her face. I'll go with you. Hale might be dangerous, but we'll do this the right way. Ryan nodded reluctantly. At least let me track him first. He owns several companies now: real estate, tech, even media. He tapped on his laptop and pulled up recent news articles. One headline caught their eyes. Richard Hale to attend charity gala in Boston this weekend. Emma leaned forward. That's it? He'll be there. I can talk to him face to face. Reeves looked uneasy. Talk. Or confront? Emma hesitated. Both. 2 nights later, the city glowed under golden lights. Expensive cars lined the entrance of the Grand Hotel hosting the gala. Men in tuxedos and women in glittering dresses smiled for cameras. But Emma wasn't there for pictures. She wore a simple black dress, her hair tied back, and a quiet determination in her eyes. Reeves followed a few steps behind, pretending to blend in. Inside the ballroom, laughter and music filled the air. Waiters moved between tables carrying trays of champagne. But Emma's eyes scanned the crowd until they landed on him, Richard Hale. He stood near the stage, tall and confident, shaking hands with the senator. His silver hair and sharp suit made him look every bit the successful businessman. But behind that smile, Emma saw something darker, the same coldness she heard in the voice message. "That's him," she whispered. Reeves nodded. "Be careful." She approached slowly. Her heart pounded as she got closer. When Hale turned, their eyes met for the first time. "Mr. Hale," she said politely. He smiled. "Yes. Have we met? My name is Emma Collins." The smile faded slightly. His eyes narrowed just for a moment before he quickly hid it. "Collins," he repeated. "That name sounds familiar." "It should," Emma said softly. "My father was Daniel Collins. He worked for you 20 years ago." Hale tilted his head, pretending to think. "Ah, Daniel. Yes, I remember him. Brilliant man. Tragic accident, wasn't it?" Emma stared straight at him. "You call it an accident. I call it a cover-up." His smile stiffened. "Excuse me. You know what happened to him? You were the last person he spoke to." Hale laughed, the kind of laugh meant to intimidate. "You've been watching too many mystery shows, Miss Collins." Emma leaned closer, her voice cold. "I heard your voice." For the first time, Hale's face changed. He didn't laugh. He didn't blink. "What did you say?" he whispered. "I heard your voice on my father's old phone. You said, 'You know what happens next.' Those were your words." For a brief second, his mask slipped. His expression hardened, sharp, dangerous. Then he smiled again. "That's quite an accusation," he said quietly. "You should be careful what you repeat. Words can be misunderstood." Emma held his gaze. "You can't scare me." "No." He leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Then maybe I should remind you that digging into old secrets can bury people. Permanently." Before Emma could respond, Reeves stepped in. "We're done here." He gently guided her away. As they left the ballroom, Emma could feel Hale's eyes following her. Outside, in the parking lot, Reeves turned to her. "You did well," he said. "He knows we're onto him. That reaction, it's proof he's hiding something." Emma nodded, still shaken. "He's dangerous, Mark. I could see it in his eyes." "That's why we need to be smart," Reeves said. "We'll take what we have to the media. If we make it public, he can't hide." Ryan met them at a diner nearby. "I checked the footage," he said. "Security cameras caught Hale talking to a man right after you left. I enhanced the audio." He played the recording. Hale's voice was clear. "She knows. Handle it." Emma felt a chill run down her spine. Handle it? Those two words said everything. Reeves stood up. "We're going to the FBI tomorrow. Enough of this." But that night, things got worse. When Emma reached her apartment, the door was locked this time. Everything looked normal. But when she entered her bedroom, she noticed her laptop screen glowing faintly. It was open to an email, one she hadn't written. The sender's name was hidden, but the message read, "You can't save him. Just like your mother couldn't save you." Her heart froze. Tears filled her eyes as she realized her mother might have known something too. Maybe that's why she never let Emma look through her father's things before she died. Emma called Reeves immediately. "Someone's been inside my apartment again," she said, her voice shaking. "Stay where you are," he replied. "I'm coming over." He arrived 15 minutes later, checking every room. Everything was quiet, too quiet. He found nothing, no fingerprints, no signs of forced entry. Whoever was behind this knew what they were doing. "They're trying to scare you into stopping," Reeves said. "But they don't know you." Emma nodded. "No, they don't." She looked out the window. Far down the street, a black car sat parked under a streetlight. It hadn't moved for hours. "Then let them watch," she whispered. "Because I'm not stopping." What Emma didn't know was that inside that black car, someone lifted a phone and spoke quietly into it. "She's not backing down," the man said. A familiar voice replied on the other end, cold, calm, and confident. "Then we make her." The city was quiet that morning. A soft drizzle fell, coating the streets in a silver shine. Inside her apartment, Emma sat at the table, staring at the documents she and Reeves had recovered from the USB drive. Every word, every file, every email, it was all evidence of corruption, cover UPS, and her father's bravery. But the danger hadn't passed. The black SUV that had been following her for weeks was still out there somewhere. The voice message, the note, the intrusion, someone powerful wanted her to stop. Emma took a deep breath. "We have enough," she said. "We go public today." Reeves nodded. "We need to be careful. Hale won't back down. But if we play it smart, the truth will come out." Ryan set up the recordings and documents for a secure press release. By noon, news outlets were alerted, reporters were arriving, and cameras were rolling. Emma and Reeves stood together as Ryan explained the story to the first reporter. "Evidence shows that Easton Industries, under CEO Richard Hale, engaged in illegal dumping of toxic chemicals for years. Daniel Collins, a former engineer, discovered this and tried to expose it until he disappeared mysteriously 20 years ago," Ryan said. Emma looked at the crowd of reporters, their pens and cameras ready. She felt a strange mix of fear and relief. After all these years, her father's story would finally be heard. Within hours, the story exploded. News outlets picked it up, and social media buzzed with outrage. People were shocked. How could such a powerful company go unnoticed for decades? Authorities responded quickly. The FBI reopened Daniel Collins' case, investigating both Easton Industries and Richard Hale. A week later, they found something incredible: a metal box buried near Lakeview, exactly where Daniel's car had been left all those years ago. Inside were several items: Daniel's ID, old papers, and a letter addressed to Emma. Her hands shook as she opened it. The handwriting was unmistakable, her father's. "If you're reading this, Emma," the letter began, "it means the truth survived. Never stop looking for it. They tried to silence me, but they couldn't silence justice. I am proud of you for finding this. Always believe in doing what's right, no matter the cost." Tears filled Emma's eyes. Her father's final words were not just a message, they were a blessing, a guide, and a reassurance that she had done the right thing. Richard Hale was arrested the next day. The media coverage was immense. Documents, emails, and recordings that Emma and Reeves had collected were enough for a strong case. Hale's empire began to crumble. Many high-ranking officials who had helped cover the crimes faced investigation as well. Emma watched the news coverage, her heart heavy but relieved. 20 years of questions, fear, and loss had finally led to justice. That evening, she returned to her apartment. The storm outside had passed, leaving the air clear and fresh. She looked at the space where the black SUV had once been parked. She imagined her father's face smiling at her, proud, calm, and finally free. She reached for the old phone, the one that had started it all. She pressed play on the long-forgotten voice message. For the first time, she listened to it without fear. Her father's voice echoed softly, fragile yet strong. "Emma, listen, if anything happens." Then the other voice, cold and threatening. "You shouldn't have come here, Daniel. You know what happens next." Emma smiled through her tears. That voice, once terrifying, had led her to the truth. That warning had guided her, tested her courage, and eventually helped her find justice. "I found the truth, Dad," she whispered. "I won't let them win. I promise." In the following weeks, Emma received calls from journalists, historians, and even other families who had been affected by Easton Industries' crimes. Many shared stories of loved ones who had suffered silently. Emma realized that her fight had given voice to others who had been silenced for years. She also received a package in the mail, another USB drive, this time labeled Memories. Inside were old photos of Daniel and Emma, videos of her father teaching her to ride a bike, celebrating birthdays, and smiling in everyday moments. Her eyes filled with tears. The man who had been missing from her life for 2 decades was now alive in memory, guiding her, inspiring her, and finally, vindicated. Emma sat at her desk, the city lights glowing outside her window. She held the letter from her father and the USB with Memories close to her chest. For the first time in 20 years, she felt a sense of closure. Her father's voice message had been forgotten, lost in time, but it had been a beacon, a puzzle piece that led her through danger, fear, and uncertainty. It had revealed secrets, exposed the guilty, and helped Emma find her place in the story that had begun so long ago. And as she looked out at the city, she whispered quietly to the night, "Dad, the truth is out. Justice is done. And I will never forget you." For Emma, the mystery that had haunted her family for 20 years had finally ended. But the courage, determination, and love that her father left behind would live on, a reminder that even in the darkest times, truth and hope can shine through.